See if this works. Oops. Okay, well, let's see. Myself. Okay, here I am. All right. Greetings, everyone. Greetings. Welcome to Performance Coaching for Empowered Black People live here on Wednesdays in this channel. I am so glad you are here and able to participate in finding opportunities and learning about ways to craft a life that is going to help you get to the next level, because I'm all about elevation. So I am welcoming you with open arms. Before I go any further, hoping that you can go on ahead and like and subscribe to this channel, as well as hit the notification bell so you know when I am live. I go live once a week, as I just mentioned, on Wednesdays, but I'm also posting videos here on Saturdays. And so hopefully you've gotten a chance to take a look at those videos. If not, please do so. And if you get the notification, then you can go on ahead and be alerted as to when those videos are posted up there. So I call myself your resident high performance coach, and I am here to help you get to the next level. As I mentioned before, I'm an empowered Black woman. I'm a proud mother, grandmother, or Gigi, as I have my girls call me, a sister friend, and a lover of Black people. I love Black people. And through my work in my business, one of the ways that I express that love and want to be a part of our opportunities that we have to be as expressive in ourselves and who we are, and to actually get to the point where we are going to be living our best lives, is through coaching us on how to create lives of full engagement, joy, and confidence, while we are rejecting the constructs of Black excellence and Black exceptionalism. It's a common understanding, unfortunately, in our community, that we have to work twice as hard to get half as far. I reject that construct, because it's a construct. It's something that was created and that we have adapted to our detriment, I believe. That's why we're ending up with a lot of challenges within our community, as well as outside, in terms of us not probably feeling as cohesive and as connected as we need to as a people, because we feel we have to be in competition with one another, when what we should be doing is helping each other elevate and grow and get to higher states of achievement. And so we can do that together if we're not trying to build ourselves and confine ourselves into these spaces that these folks want to put us in. So I reject it, and I am here as an empowered Black woman to celebrate you in your effort to hopefully reject it as well. Okay, so and we understand what a construct is. Again, it's something that's made up. It's nothing real. So we're living in reality. That's where we stay. So as I mentioned, on Saturdays, I post videos to help us take or help you learn a little bit more about what I do as a certified high performance coach. I've been certified since 2015, and I work with individuals and groups and helping them to understand who they are, and then master certain levels of achievements, so that they are the pillars that are going to help them get to certain levels of achievement in their lives. And those pillars have been identified as clarity, energy, courage, productivity, and influence. And those have been identified by some of the world's highest achievers as integral in them getting to their levels of success. And so as one of very, very few Black certified high performance coaches, I wanted to bring this philosophy, bring this approach to my people, because we are just as validated and as deserving of these concepts as anybody else. They're very basic concepts, and I believe they're concepts that we can use to augment what we're doing already as we are achieving while Black. That's a term I kind of came up with. We need all the help that we can get, and we need people who look like us to help us get there. And so that is my effort here, is to interweave those concepts into challenges that we're dealing with day to day in our workplace, in our homes, in our relationships. So that is what I do here in the videos that I post. And then on my lives here, I want to take the opportunity to help people, to help you kind of maybe actualize some of those concepts, and in ways that we're able to help you in real time be and do for the people and the lives that you want to live at the most highly elevated levels. And so I usually bring a question to you, because essentially what I'm doing is group coaching in this space. And that's generally how I would do a group coaching, private group coaching session. I bring a question to you. I go over a few concepts around the question, and then I have you kind of do some journaling. If you want to start doing that here in this space, that's fine. If not, you can do that when we get offline. But hopefully it's something that those of you who have been participating, you find that there's some value in you moving through that process. And so for the last 3 weeks, I think since the first week of January, I think there's now there are 4 Wednesdays. I think there are 4 Wednesdays in January. So this is probably the 4th one. So continuing the conversation around resolutions. Those of you who set them, some people do stuff, some people don't, some people call them something else. It really doesn't matter. As I had mentioned in previous videos, I had a couple of series and a challenge around how we are viewing resolutions, how we are getting to places where we are going to use what we have learned, hopefully last year, to get to another level of excellence as we are moving forward and growing. And so the idea behind all of this is that you are able to establish whatever that goal is that you have for yourself, and you're continuing to move forward and elevate in it, because the challenge tends to be, as we're going through the days of January, is that you lose the momentum. You may have started off very active and motivated in getting to get some results, and then it tends to wane because life takes over. So what I want to do is support you with some guidance that I'm learning myself. So I'm learning, and what I learn in the high performance coaching space, I pass on to you as well, so that you can benefit from that, because that is what my responsibility, I feel, is as a certified high performance coach. So last week, we talked about understanding the 4 desires to further identify how the process of architecting your mindset is going to help you get aligned with those desires, so that you can create the results that you want and that you can achieve towards growth. Because in the end, that is what we want. We want to get to these certain levels of outcomes that we're looking for, so that we can grow. That's the whole idea behind it. So in the hey Noreen, so the idea behind all of that is that you are going to have a space where you can have an opportunity to think through some of that today. We started the conversation last week. And then so tonight, with the topic, how are you growing into your best self this year? It's about tapping into your superpowers, and in a way that is going to impact that growth trajectory. Because it's a lot to say that you want to, you understand what the 4 desires are. And we talked about that last week. If you missed that, you can check out that video that that's up there, the live that we did last week. We're tapping into that, and there's one thing to understanding that, but now we're getting clear about that, and now we have to get an understanding about what the um, the growth trajectory needs to be for you to be able to actually stand solidly in that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in terms of superpowers. And so we're all heroes in our own minds in certain ways. I hope you see yourself as that, and certainly the people who love and care about you think about you in that term and mindset as well. So that is what we're in that from that frame. And really, superpower is really understanding what is the thing that's going to be driving you and moving you, and you being understanding how to tap in and to connect to that. So, the growth piece is what we're going to extend the conversation about today. We started talking about growth and all of those desires moving us towards growth, because we understand that life doesn't improve um, just just when you achieve the goal, but it's really more so about how you're going to plan to grow beyond it. So for instance, if you and I've been using the example of um, I've been using the example of cholesterol for some reason for the last few videos, few lives. So I'll just move on through that. So talking about how you are, if you got your cholesterol down, big deal. If you're able to get it down to the numbers that you are looking to get them to, if you haven't, it's really not going to be much use to you if you haven't integrated a practice of healthful living. Um, so that's the growth piece that you have to get to next is how do you maintain the goal, right? You maintain the goal by changing your habits and practices. So we talked about last week building routines as well, into to making that happen so that it's something that you can sustain. Another example is, so what if you apologize for disappointing someone based on something you overlooked or some negligence that you committed, if you haven't really then looked at how you are honoring yourself through being and living in integrity to yourself, because you've got to live in integrity with yourself first before you can live in integrity with other people. So that's then going to require you again to assess what is the best of who you are, as we're talking about today, and being able to do that over a consistent period of time. The people who tend to actually succeed over the long term in re-architecting their mindsets are doing so through grounding in authentic desire. So being very clear about what is the big thing that you want, as we talked about last week, that you were then setting the goals for. The resolutions or the goals are based on some big desire. So understanding what that is and then framing how you were going to, or strategizing how you were going to achieve that through setting up the routines and goals and tasks that you need is really how you're going to be tapping into your own superpowers. And so I'm going to be asking you some questions a little bit later on in terms of what are some of the things that you already identify about yourself that feed in to the big superpowers, but we'll talk about how to think about superpowers in a minute. Um, People who are not really doing that in a consistent way in terms of architecting their mindsets are going to not be able to regularly summon the best of themselves, and to be able to do that on as much as you can, and setting yourself up for success in that area as often as you can. So understanding what it takes to do that every day is some of what I coach my clients on. When we're looking at clarity, energy, courage, productivity, and influence, that's really about how they are going to exercise each one of those pillars every single day to a level of achievement that they can maintain. So when you're looking at um, how you're going to live into your best self every day, it's really not a natural thing sometimes for people to think about. It's not an aspiration because we're reacting to a lot of things that are going on in our environment. So it tends to be a little challenging. And because we're reacting, we're not thinking and we're just on autopilot because, and that's some of the challenges around setting routines, right? Which is why you have to be very clear and making sure that the routines are directly connected to the desires that you want, because you can have some routines that are not um, conducive to where you want to go. So it's really going to be important for you to identify the right routines as you are creating um, or architecting your mindset as you are moving forward and avoiding, the autopilot and just moving through the world. Generally, for us, we've got what I call the issues or minutia of daily living that we are working through that tend to keep us on autopilot. So those are things that really are what we depend on to live, right? So, going to work and taking care of children and people that are in our immediate environment that are expecting things from us, and how we're just navigating challenges about food, clothing, and shelter, the basic necessities. Most of us as people are 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 dealing with those things, and they tend to keep us on autopilot because we're just focused on that. And specifically, though, for Black people, I think our challenge a lot of times is we're consistently fighting to maintain our safety and security. We have to not only be concerned about making sure we're maintaining a standard of living, but we have to be able to do that and in ways that we are to our best ability, the best of our ability to do that in a way that we are maintaining our safety and our security. And that's a particular issue as we're combating white supremacy. And I think I heard somebody say the other day, one of the best ways to combat white supremacy is to live life on your own terms, to take breaks, take rest, to prioritize yourself. So that is most definitely what I am a big proponent of. We need to really work on summoning our superpowers of high self-awareness. And so what I wanted to do was share a graphic here for you to look at what we were thinking, what the thinking is around what the superpower I guess diagram can look like. I guess you call this a Venn diagram, right? If I remember correctly from high school, college. Uh, but the idea here is for you to look at what we're the two big pieces in terms of what superpowers are made up of, or what are how we can manage to bring those together so that we can do some of the things that I was talking about before. So one of those things is through self-regulation. And this diagram is nothing that is not, I'm going to give credit where credit's due, even though I didn't put it down there. But I am certified through the High Performance Institute, and the founder of that institute does a training every January. And so he actually created this approach, this diagram. So I'm borrowing from him. His name is Brendon Burchard. But I thought, again, it was a great way to illustrate what we're talking about tonight. So he looks at summoning our superpowers of high self-awareness through self-regulation and social influence. He's called self-regulation as the greatest superpower because it can be dialed up or down. So when you think about self-regulation, the idea really is about how you are controlling how your reactions or responses are in the spaces that you're in. And so depending on the intelligence that's coming from within you as well as outside of you, you can decide and control how you need to heighten that or you need to reduce it. And so a lot of times when we're thinking about self-regulation, we and I've heard people say, well, yeah, I this is just how I respond to things and this is the way I am or whatever. But I think as mature adults, we recognize that we can't be reactive in ways that are going to benefit us. Most of the time it doesn't. So we have to learn how to censor ourselves, and even that can be frustrating. One of the ways that he recommends us looking at that is through breathing. And I'm going through a meditation. I don't know if it's a ritual, but it's a traditional process that I'm learning now. I've been trying meditation over the years, and my mind is very busy and always going 500 miles an hour. So it's a challenge for me to slow myself down. But breathing helps you do that, and I'm learning now that the slower you breathe, it also tends to help you feel like you're more in control of yourself and what you can how you're going to respond to things. So slowing down your breathing, being mindful about that when you are feeling yourself getting elevated or amped up is a one way that you can definitely regulate how you are um, reacting or responding, because we want to see more responses than reactions. Reactions tend to be emotional, and I talked about this in one of the videos that I have posted. It's something you're not thinking about, and you're just your action is on autopilot in a way. Whereas with responding, you're being more thoughtful, and so that's the other piece to this too, is your thoughts. So thinking again too about what you have control over. What can I do? And not so much. It's what you can do also, and how you can do it, as well as what you can't, and knowing what the differences are. So I talked about serenity prayer a couple of videos ago, I think, or lives ago too, about um, uh, recognizing being serene, having that serenity about the things you cannot change, the courage to have to change the things you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. This is where this regulation piece comes in as well, in terms of your breathing and your thoughts. So what are the things you can do versus what are the things you can't, and things that you need to release. And so that helps you with the self-regulation piece in terms of dialing it up and down. And then with the social influence piece, there is your ability to impact other people with purpose. So this means that again, this is something that you're doing deliberately, and you're mindful about, and you're thinking about it. And so it's really a skill, not so much a feeling. And so it can be learned. It's something that you can learn how to do. When I am coaching my clients, I talk to them. We have a special, as I mentioned, one of the 5 pillars of high performance is influence. And we have a full session on talking about influence and looking at 3 pieces of that in terms of how you can influence people by modeling the way. So we know, I think most of us understand what role modeling is. So we're not talking so much, we are acting and behaving in ways that people can emulate. Also challenging the status quo of someone, or challenging someone's approach or thoughts, or just frames of mind that they may have. A lot of times um, there's some of us that have no issues challenging um, something that's counter, and it's not even so much an opinion that we may have, but it's a way that somebody's thinking that we already know is going to be detrimental to them because of our past experience. So we challenge them on how they're thinking that way. Has this been something that's been beneficial for them, etc. And then teaching people how to think. And we may think of some incredible Black scholars in our community over the many decades that have helped us readjust our thinking in ways that have benefited us. And I'm sure you can think of some people, or even people in your family, that have done that and have given you a different point of view. Hey, Sherry. Hey, Noreen. Good to see y'all. And so as we are looking at this self-regulation along with social influence, when those two pieces converge, we have service. And service is where we are then able to live at our highest level in terms of, or express our highest level of spirit, as express our highest level of meaning in our lives when we're able to do this. And it's one thing to have those desires, as I mentioned before, as we're connecting all of this together. Those desires, I think, can be most, and I believe what he's trying to express here, can be most engaging and most thorough if we are able to connect what we're doing to service, and always thinking about what we're doing and how it's being received and how we are bringing value to other people through the service. And that in that, we are then fully expressing ourselves in the spirit of who we are. So keeping those things all the time, having high intention to regulate better, is going to give us opportunities to build on these pieces that we see here in terms of the self-regulation and the social influence, and those pieces being very important here. It's really, long story short, it's okay to have negative emotions. We're human beings, and that's something that, is going to happen. But for us to get back on track, we're going to have to dial back in and tap back into our self-regulation and our social influence. So that is what we're referencing here. So I also wanted to give you to make you aware that there are a couple of videos that I've put up around this. I did record a video back on December 16th. It was called "Are Black People Overly Emotional?" And harken back to that because we're looking at understanding that it's important for us to realize in the spaces that we're in that we have specific expectations that may be put on us, and we also have to also be aware that it's okay that we make space for us to be and feel safe where we are at the same time. And so I was reading a article some time ago. I think it was in medium.com, and they were talking about emotionality, which is really, how a person reacts to stimulus around them. And then also looking at emotional equity, which apparently is a term or a thing I didn't know, but really looking at us not having to prioritize how we supposedly make other people groups feel. A lot of times these are, people in the dominant society, because we have to be concerned about how safe they feel when we're not feeling as safe as we need to feel in the spaces that we are in, as well as work and play, as well as home. So the work really is about summoning our superpowers. of social influence and self-regulation so that we can achieve our goals and do it at a higher level so we can have that level of frequency and intensity so we're living at elevated spaces and elevated mindset, and so we already have to kind of be tapped into those so that we're able to do that because really despite the environments that we're in, um, we just need to develop mastery around that. And so that's something that I support my clients in doing on a regular basis because, again, we're about getting to those high levels and maintaining it and not falling off and living into the best of who